Welcome to a new planetary and seismic update. On the SSGI graph from the 7th of October, we see larger earthquakes, that's 5.5 and larger. And we see that cluster there on 7-8 October that I already mentioned in the previous update. And we see 1.6.2 on the 12th. Like I said, around 10-11, there could be some seismic response, stronger tremors. But I also estimated that it probably wouldn't be much. And we only had 1.6.2 that was off the coast of Costa Rica. And that was actually yesterday afternoon. And that's all the seismic activity that we had, 5.5 and larger. And then we see that convergence of geometry on the 14th and 15th that I already discussed in the previous update. So let's have a look at the SSGI graph for the next time frame. That's until the 22nd of October. We see here on the left this huge cluster of critical geometry, a lot of labels actually on the graph to indicate where the geometry occurs. Maybe a bit difficult to read. I try to do my best to put the labels in there. Most notably, on the 13th, today, I already mentioned in the previous update, Venus, Mars, Saturn in a right angle. That's where the critical geometry starts. What I did not mention is the right angle geometry with the Moon, Venus, and the Moon with Uranus. That also happens today. And let's have a look at the solar system, how that looks like from a different viewpoint. We see here Earth between Venus and Uranus, and we see the Moon on the right. And it makes right angle geometry with Venus and Uranus within 3 hours today. That's critical, and that geometry by itself can already result in a higher 6 to 7 magnitude earthquake within about 2 days, and that would be on the 15th, 16th. That's a possibility, not a certainty. So that's the geometry that I did not mention in the previous update. So let's have a look at the solar system, what I did show in the previous update. We have this right angle geometry with Mercury, Venus and Uranus. Like I said, that's notorious geometry. And it converges with two planetary conjunctions. That's Mercury, Sun and Uranus, and Venus, Earth and Uranus. And because Earth is between Venus and Uranus, we have this right angle geometry of the Moon in an opposite fashion. That's what we're going to have in the next 3 days, 13, 14 and 15, critical geometry. So let's have a look at that right angle geometry. I discussed that on the 25th of March in that update, 5 days before the major earthquake in Taiwan, 7.4. That was on the 2nd of April. On the 25th of March, I discussed in detail this geometry as it happened in 2023. So let's have a look. This is the geometry that we talk about. Mercury at the right angle with Venus and Uranus. And because Mercury and Venus are close to the Sun, that right angle geometry is with Mercury and also with Venus within 1 or 2 days. And we see that on the right, Venus at the right angle with Mercury and Uranus. So when did that geometry, I already showed you that geometry, it happened 2 times this year and both times we had a 7 magnitude earthquake. The last one was in August in Japan. In 2023, we had that geometry 4 times. That was in January, that was in May, in July, and the end of November, early December. And when did the large earthquakes occur, magnitude 7.5 and larger? It happened in January with that geometry. It happened in May, 7.7, 5 days after that same geometry. And also in December, 7.5 in the Philippines, after that right angle geometry occurred. We also had 2 major earthquakes in Turkey, a double 7.5, 7.8, and that followed on conjunctions and a full moon. We had conjunctions with Mercury, Sun and Uranus, and Venus, Sun, Jupiter. It converged to full moon, and we had large earthquakes. And also in May, there were conjunctions with Mercury, Venus, and the Earth, and we had a 7-pointer there at Tonga. So we see how critical the right angle geometry actually can be. These are statistics, they are very significant, and observation and research, as we can see, is really, really significant here. So we're going to have that geometry tomorrow and on the 15th, first with Mercury, Venus, Uranus in a right angle, and then with Venus, Mercury and Uranus. And that will be early on the 15th, and that's the critical one. The right angle geometry of Venus, that's the critical one. And if we count about 2.5 days from that geometry, we end up around the 16th, 17th, and that will be the time of a full moon. because that will be in the morning of the 17th. So there is the potential for a major earthquake around full moon, not because of the full moon, but because of the critical geometry that precedes it, on the 14th and 15th in particular. But we know from observations that a large earthquake, major earthquake, mid-7, can happen within 5 days of that geometry. So if we count from the 15th with Venus, Mercury, Uranus in a right angle, we end up around the 20th. That's also a possibility. There is uncertainty there, and depends on the condition of Earth's crust, the stress levels in Earth's crust. It requires a fault section with a critical amount of stress, a larger fault section. And if that is the case, this geometry will trigger a major earthquake. It could also be larger. Like I said in the previous update, it's been 3 years since we had a magnitude 8 earthquake, and the last time we had anything over 7.5 was in May 2023. So it's been a while. So we could say, yes, we're due for a major earthquake, maybe even a great one. And again, it could be around the time of full moon, but be on watch in the coming week. Up until the 20th, we could see a large seismic response to this geometry. Check out the website for the latest updates. In the description, you will find a link to the estimated potential regions. It isn't perfect, but it may be a significant indicator. Also on the website, we have these updates, and also in the social media, we have dedicated channels, Facebook, Telegram, WhatsApp. Follow those updates. In the coming days, we may be able to pinpoint the potential regions approximately where larger seismic activity may occur. This is the update for now. Stay safe. Until next time.